Hey, welcome. Welcome to Sapphire Rich News. Yep. Plus, they're looking into the way that Ilhan Omar got into the country as possibly fraudulent because she married her own brother to get into the country. And she claimed that in the Muslim religion that that's allowable. I don't know any Muslim that's okay with their sister marrying their brother. Hold on. Yeah. So the reason why I put the title liberal journalist is because the funniest damn thing happened yesterday. I mean, it was hilarious. You know how outspoken Tim Burchett is? That he's an outspoken Republican and he's just going to say what's on his mind. You know what I mean? This, I call him wet behind the ears reporter, walked up to him outside the Capitol yesterday and asked him if he was going to sponsor legislation to make the use of Signal. Tim Burchett, he's representative from Tennessee. He's a Republican. He's one of us. And he's very outspoken. He just says what he believes. And this wet behind the ears reporter, my term, walked up to him yesterday and said, "Are you going to sponsor legislation to make the use of Signal illegal by members of the Trump administration?" And without hesitation, he turned and he said, "Does your mama still buy you Hot Pockets? And does she plug in your Game Boy for you at night?" He says, "Have a nice day," and turned and walked off. I was dying laughing because this this supposed reporter should have known walking up to Tim Burchett, who's a outspoken Republican, and ask a question like that. He should know he's going to get smacked around for it, right? I really like Tim Burchett. He's just hilarious. He just says what he's thinking, and you ain't going to change his mind by saying something stupid. And I saw that last night, and it's like, oh, I got to put this in the stream tomorrow. This is just funny. I took my other channel that was photography and I repurposed it for my koi, and I've got just 4 videos up there. Yeah, and here's something else interesting that I found out. Did you know that Signal was created by the CIA to give them backdoors into countries' um, governments? I heard that yesterday, and I thought, this more and more looks like a Dem psyop. because if you connect the dots, okay, Norm Eisen is an outspoken anti-Trump Democrat. Alex Wong works for uh, Mike Waltz. Alex Wong used to work for Norm Eisen, and Mike Waltz did not approved the group chat, but he did not set it up. Alex Wong set it up. Yeah, but they did not get some of the emails because Nancy Pelosi ordered them deleted. She ordered a bunch of emails and other evidence that was gathered by the J6 committee to be deleted and not given to a single Republican. And I think that is should be criminal. Well, she thought they could. She thought bleach bit meant take a rag with bleach and wipe the outside of the server. Because when Hillary Clinton used bleach bit to erase the emails, Nancy Pelosi said, "What are they using bleach on a rag and wiping the outside of the server? I don't understand how that works." I thought, you're just sly like a fox, dumb like a fox, used to be the saying. Yep. Trump is going to get them all. You know, they think they're playing with the Trump from the first administration. Nope. He he stated that he said this can never happen to another president ever. Yeah, here's something interesting. Chuck Schumer is really scared. Chuck Schumer is really scared. A reporter yesterday morning asked him if he was worried that AOC was going to take his seat, and he got up and stormed out of the room. Yeah. What does Trump call him? Crying Chucky? See, this is just my view. I think Schumer knows that he's cooked, but he's going to fight to the bitter end because they're going to do to him what they did to um, Biden. I watched this interview by Patrick Bet David. yesterday, and he said he said this is how they get them out. He said they've got dirt on all of them. They they sneak a camera in to a hotel room, and the guy shows up with someone other than his wife, and they record the whole thing, and then they go back to him and say, "You're going to do this, or we're making this public." Yeah, I bet they do. I just wish that we had a bigger um, majority in Congress. They are really worried about the Wisconsin redistricting because, according to what I saw, if the redistricting holds, I think there's something else going on there with Stefanik. And hear me out, okay? She was going to go to the UN, which would have been good for her political career. However, Mike Waltz made a screw up that Elise would never make. And I think that he asked Elise to stay in Congress so that he could get Mike out. She had to be confirmed to be the ambassador to the UN. And over the weekend, or over the past couple of days after the Signalgate stuff, Trump had a talk with her, and he pulled her nomination to the UN and asked her to go back to Congress and be in uh, leadership, and he would bring her into his administration at a later time. So I think what's going to end up happening is Mike Waltz is going to suddenly resign, and then he's going to nominate Elise to take Mike Waltz's place because Elise would have never made a screw up like that. First thing she would have done is she would have cleaned house, fired everybody, rehired her own people. But the problem is we need to worry about how many for the majority because we have two seats, a two-seat majority. The audit in, or not the audit, the redistricting in Wisconsin would give Wisconsin four Democratic seats. There goes our majority. And then the Democrats have said if they're in the majority, the first thing they're doing is impeaching Trump. We have to stop that. We cannot let them have the majority before 2026. We have to be really careful at what we're doing. Elon said something interesting in his Brett Baer interview. He said that the government cannot pass an audit. And here's something else mind blowing. They have one checkbook for the entire government. Each department does not have its own account. There's one account for all of them. That just blew my mind. And he said that's one of the recommendations that they're going to recommend is that each department have their own accounts instead of putting it all in one account and all in one. Right. He said there were blank checks going out. He said they were signed, but no amount on it, no, no who it's to. He said that all needs to stop right now. He said the Treasury, the the Pentagon, Department of Ed, EPA. He said every department should have their own account, and you give them the amount of money in the budget that they need to operate instead of putting it all in one account at the Treasury and then they have to, everybody draws out of the same account. He said if you operated a business like that, you'd be fired. I think that Elon should do multiple interviews because we found out at the interview by Brett Baer that the whiz kids that the Democrats are all talking about, they're not making the decisions. They're just doing the work and they're volunteering. They're not taking a check. Elon gathered six of his closest friends that own businesses, and each one of them is in charge. I found that to be really interesting that I think Elon should go on other news networks and tell the truth. I had to cancel my live on my other channel this morning because I woke up and it was 30 degrees and snowing. It's like, yeah, we're not working outside around the koi pond in the snow. It's unusual for us to get snow this time of year, even though I live in eastern Montana. It's usually 50 degrees during the day and then like in the 40s at night, but it warms up as the month progresses. Not today. It's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Something else interesting happened today. See, there's X, the the corporation, and then there's a second business that Elon owns called XAI. XAI bought out X today. They bought X Corp, paid $33 billion. I thought that was interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, that's what I got for y'all today. I will see you all tomorrow. Love you guys. Take care. Bye for now.